Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Hello everybody, it's Jeff. Well, some interesting news actually came out yesterday, but I see it now today. And let me read this to you first before I give you my views here on this. This is from USA Today, written by Josh Meyer. It's titled, "Biden Accuser Tara Reade bolts U.S. for Russia, saying she fears for her safety." Yeah, the woman that was accusing Joe Biden of sexually harassing her, she's fleeing to Russia. Okay? Tara Reade, the former Senate aide who in 2020 accused then presidential candidate Joe Biden of sexually assaulting her nearly 3 decades earlier, has fled the U.S. for Russia and asked President Vladimir Putin for citizenship. Reade made her surprise announcement on Tuesday in a lengthy interview with the pro-Russian Sputnik media organization. She appeared on a broadcast alongside Maria Butina, a suspected Kremlin spy who spent 13 months in a U.S. federal prison before being deported back to Russia in 2019, and thanked Butina for her assistance. Biden has denied the allegations made by Reade, who claimed Tuesday that her continued efforts to speak out publicly about the president made her feel unsafe about living in the United States. Quote, "I'm still kind of in a daze a bit, but I feel very good," unquote, Reade told Sputnik, saying she made the, quote, "very difficult," unquote, decision to leave the United States because of her security concerns. She stopped short of saying she was formally defecting and renouncing her U.S. citizenship. Quote, "My dream is to live in both places, but it may be that I only live in this place, and that's okay," unquote. During the joint appearance, Reade described Butina as, quote, "my friend," unquote, and Masha, a fond Russian diminutive of Mariah, quote, "we've known each other for quite some time now," unquote, Butina said in asking Putin himself to fast-track Reade's citizenship request. Quote, "I feel very surrounded by protection and safety," unquote, in Russia, Reade said. Quote, "and I just really so appreciate Maria Butina and everyone else who's been giving me that at a time when it's very difficult to know if I'm safe or not," unquote. Quote, "I just didn't want to walk home and walk into a cage or be killed, which is basically my two choices," unquote, Reade said. Reade didn't specify why she felt threatened in the United States or provide any details about how she ended up in Russia. But she hinted that the timing was related to her interest in talking publicly about her alleged relationship with Biden long ago, especially with the 2024 presidential election campaign heating up. Several former U.S. intelligence officials told USA Today that they were puzzled by Reade's actions and public statements and highly suspicious of them. Former CIA analyst Gail Helt watched the entire Russian media broadcast and said Reade's sudden appearance in Moscow and her association with Butina has all the hallmarks of a Russian information operation, whether Reade knows it or not. Quote, "She acknowledges and thanks Marina Butina, calls her a friend, and suggests they've been friends for years. So if you have known her for years, was she influencing you in 2019 when you accused Joe Biden? I mean, there's a lot that was really fishy about that TV appearance," Helt told USA Today. Asked about Reade's case, White House spokesman John Kirby said he didn't want to speculate on why a U.S. citizen had decided to move to Russia, request citizenship directly from Vladimir Putin, and denounce the United States. Quote, that's really for her speak to," unquote, Kirby said at the White House briefing Wednesday afternoon. Quote, "The one thing I will say is that allegations that her life was at risk by the United States government are absolutely false. Baseless. There's nothing to that," unquote. Asked if the White House believed Reid may have been influenced by the Russian government, Kirby said, quote, "Again, I would let this prospective Russian citizen speak for her intentions and motivations," unquote. But Kirby added, quote, "It's a matter of record that Mr. Putin and the Russian government have tried to interfere, actually did interfere in our elections going back as far as 2016, unquote. Quote, "It should come as no surprise to anybody that Mr. Putin would show an interest in making it hard for President Biden to win election and to try to interfere in his ability to govern as President of the United States," unquote, Kirby said. Quote, "But whether this particular move by this particular individual is some sort of Russian information op or propaganda campaign, I just don't know," unquote. Kirby said he had not seen any information that would link Reid to Russian information operations. Reid first came forward with her allegations against Biden in 2019 when she was one of several women who accused him of kissing, hugging, and touching them in ways that made them feel uncomfortable. Then, in a March 2020 podcast, Reid accused Biden, then the presumptive Democratic presidential nominee, of inappropriately touching her in a Capitol Hill building 27 years earlier when she worked in Biden's Delaware Senate office in 1993. Biden has repeatedly and vehemently denied Reid's allegations, and so have some key staffers who worked with both of them at that time. Last December, Reid called on House Republicans to use their new majority to investigate Biden and to call her as a witness to testify against him. Quote, "I think we need to have the conversation instead of me being erased and other women that were erased that tried to come forward," unquote, she told a conservative news outlet, The Daily Caller. Also in December, Russian officials moved to invite Reid to appear before the United Nations Security Council, purportedly as an expert witness on weapons trafficking, according to the U.S. media outlet Semaphore. Reid appeared to reference those efforts in her Russian media appearance, saying that, quote, "Based on what was happening and sort of the push for them to not want me to testify, I felt that while this election is gearing up and there's so much at stake, I'm almost better off here and just being safe," unquote. Butina was a young American University graduate, student who charmed Republican and NRA high rollers before the FBI arrested her in Washington in 2018 on suspicion of acting as a Russian intelligence asset. Since returning to Russia, she has become a media star and celebrity of sorts, and now serves in the Russian parliament as a representative of Putin's political party. During their joint media appearance Tuesday, Reid praised Russia and Putin specifically and criticized America, especially the few Washington elites who are determined to cause problems, unquote, between the two superpowers. Reid also criticized the NATO alliance and said she wasn't the only American who has forsaken the U.S. for Russia. Quote, "There are many Americans here, and I don't want to out a bunch of Americans, but there are people here that are coming to Russia, much like back in the day when Soviet Union people defected over to the U.S. Now you have the opposite," unquote, she said. Quote, "Now you have U.S. and European citizens looking for safe haven here, and luckily the Kremlin is accommodating, so we're lucky," unquote. The Sputnik news story said Reid's message to other Americans is that they should take action to protect themselves and their families, and quote, "and to really look at who you're voting for," unquote. Javid Ali, a former senior U.S. law enforcement and intelligence official, said that given Reid's self-described relationship with Butina, it's possible that Russia helped facilitate her move to Russia as part of an anti-U.S. propaganda campaign. Quote, "Reid's recent defection to Russia, combined with her past activities and unusual behavior, seems to fit more the pattern of a pro-Russian American sympathizer than a trained asset of the Russian intelligence services or an actual intelligence officer themselves," unquote, said Ali, a senior National Security Council official in the Trump administration who also spent 16 years in top national security positions at the Defense Intelligence Agency, Department of Homeland Security, and FBI. Given her Biden bashing, quote, "At some point Russian intelligence personnel may have tried to recruit Reid and carry out tasking her on their behalf," unquote, Alley said. But if so, quote, those efforts seem to have been fallen far short of their original objectives, unquote. On the broadcast, Reid is highly critical of the United States and very complimentary of Russia and Butina and Putin himself. Quote, she's out there downplaying and dissing the United States, saying that our inflation is at 40%, which of course it is not, that gas prices have never been higher, that child poverty has never been higher, homelessness has never been higher, unquote, said Helt, who left the CIA in 2014 after a dozen years traveling the world and writing for and briefing the senior-most U.S. policymakers. Quote, I mean, you want to talk about a Russian information operation, that is one. I was just horrified. It offended me viscerally, unquote. Helt said that one of Russia's specialties is persuading unwitting Americans to do their bidding, including undermining the United States through the criticism of one of its own citizens. Quote, to me, if I'm an intelligence officer watching that, I think she could absolutely be a Russian asset. She could be witting or unwitting, but when she shows up to Moscow, I think she's witting at that point, unquote. That's it. So here you got this woman, Tara Reid, running to Russia, thinking, "Oh my God, they're coming after me." Okay, when does a Republican or a Democrat ever going after somebody, you know, that put somebody's life in danger? Okay, if anybody should ever have to worry about their life being put in danger, it's someone who is a Democrat and going around saying things against Republicans, because that's one way you're going to get a Republican to come out and do something criminal. Okay, she had nothing to fear from Biden or anybody that supports Biden. Okay, that's bullshit, and she knows it. And as far as her accusing Biden of, you know, sexual whatever, okay, there was never any evidence to support that, and she perjured herself in numerous different court hearings about the whole incident, and that's why it never went anywhere. Okay, so now all that gets put under a different spotlight now, because now they're thinking that maybe she was doing all that just to undermine Biden so he wouldn't win the presidency. Okay, that she was out there going around, you know, spinning her fucking web and trying to bring him down. Okay, so that's more. I mean, we've already got proof that Russia did try to interfere with the 2016 election. That we have. Okay, that with the hearings that we just saw, we know Trump was involved with Putin at that time, and they were colluding together. Okay, Putin was funding Trump and giving him information and stuff like that. That's how, you know, that's what he was doing in 2016 when he was running against Hillary Clinton. So we know that. And then, of course, we know that he was still getting help from Russia during the last election, presidential election, against Biden. Okay, and then he had Tara Reid out there screaming, "Oh, he's a pervert" and everything. Okay. So then that comes out. And of course, it didn't work. But the fact is Trump and people who associate with Trump have had dealings with Russia, with Putin directly. Okay, they've been in cahoots with each other. That in itself is enough to say treason. Okay, other countries are not allowed to interfere with our fucking election system in here. And here we've got two incidences in this country in the last 10 years of Russia interference. Okay, in our election systems, and the proof to back it up. Okay. The proof to back it up. And Marina Butina, who was a convicted spy and a double agent, okay, helped this woman get to Russia. Okay, so there's another big red flag. Russians working with, okay, you know what I'm saying? It just floors me, because, you know, all this stuff comes out, all right, right now, because the Democrats, you know, they're going after justice here, because all the shit that Trump's done, the more they dig, the more they find, and the more questions keep coming out. Okay, so this is like a friggin' endless rabbit hole of finding all kinds of fucking garbage that this man has left in his wake. Okay, we'll be forever investigating Trump. the most worst of the crimes that he's done so far would already be enough to put him in prison for the rest of his natural life, okay? No one should dispute that, because we've seen all the evidence in the hearings that they had, okay? We know what's been going on. Trump is so guilty, he should be behind bars regardless, okay? Right now, he shouldn't be out walking around and campaigning for president. That is ridiculous bullshit, okay? That's a Mickey Mouse fucking system right there, when you got a goddamn convicted criminal out there running for the presidency of this country. That should never happen in this country, ever, ever. Okay, that's not right. And so, knowing that this double agent, this spy here for Russia, was helping this lady get to Russia, okay, and now while she's over there, she's standing up in the middle of Moscow, screaming out, you know, how, oh, the United States they're coming after me, and you know, it's not safe there, and she's sitting there shitting all over the U.S. policy in Ukraine, and going on and on about that, okay? Treason. I mean, this is what she's saying over there rises to the level of treason. I would be surprised if she drops her citizenship to the United States and becomes a Russian citizen, because that way she can't be, you know, demanded to come back. All right, she'll never come back here. I know that, because for some reason I think the investigations that's been going on are getting too close to her, and she's scared. She's scared that she's going to have to answer for some bullshit that she said that wasn't true. And that's why she fled, okay? It wasn't because she felt threatened by anybody. It's because the truth is coming out. They're finding all kinds of stuff, and she knows it. And she's probably not going to get any help from Trump or anybody to defend her, and she doesn't want to spend the rest of her life in prison. So she gets somebody that she knew from, you know, some years back, that friggin' Russian double agent, and begs her, get me to go to Russia. I get the hell out of the United States. I need to I need to flee because they're coming after me. Okay, so she goes over there, and imagine she, you know, political asylum. Okay, and while she's there, she's talking about becoming a Russian citizen and everything. And while she's there, everybody's clapping and applauding. Oh, you know, because right now everybody over there is anti-American. Okay, and so she's a hero. But over here, she's a criminal. And if she came back, she'd probably end up in a federal pen. You know, Jesus. So, you know, I've never seen, I mean, I never thought in my lifetime that I would ever be witness to some of the most deeply corrupted shit that I've ever seen in our political system, okay? You know, I thought Nixon, okay, and Reagan were the worst, okay? And then Bush came along, and things felt even worse than that, okay? But you couldn't really you really couldn't tie much of anything to Bush, because he was too slick to get tied into things. But with Cheney in there, Cheney was the anchor that wrapped around Bush's leg, and that's what, you know, made everything look devious in his administration, and that things were going on that we didn't know about. And I still say that there's stuff there that we don't know about to this very day. Trump, on the other hand, he comes in there already in scandal. Okay, he's already up to here in fucking court battles, and he becomes the president of the United States. So everything gets put on hold because he's the president, and they can't do anything to him. So he spends 4 years, and what does he do in 4 years? He gets himself deeper in more scandal while he's president. The fucking guy doesn't know when to quit. So he's in there doing all this shit, basically, and you know, everybody's like, they're trying to play catch up to this guy. You know, at the most American of games is playing catch up, because we're always the last to find out about anything people do that's in power. Okay, we're always the last. And with Trump, we didn't know anything about him until he became president. Then everything, little by little, stuff started to come out about this bastard. Okay. And you think the Republicans were going to say, oh, buyer's remorse? No, they weren't going to say a damn thing about that. Okay, they didn't want to say anything about buyer's remorse. They're too stubborn. You know, it's a cult. The people that support Trump, they're a fucking cult, is what they are. All right. So this information coming out about Tara Reade is just going to go in one ear and out the other, because they don't care. They don't fucking care. To them, Trump could be the biggest traitor to this country the world has ever seen. okay? And they'll still vote for him. That makes them just as traitorous as Trump himself, and all of those people need to lose their citizenships and get kicked in the ass over to Russia. Every goddamn one of them. So I feel like, you know, this really pisses me off that this story come out, okay, about Tara Reade, and the most obvious move that anybody would make if you're trying to get away from justice is to go flee to the enemy of the country that's coming after you, okay? They're not going to get her over there, especially if she becomes a Russian citizen, okay? They're not going to chase her ass over there, all right? But the fact is that it's another way of people getting away with crimes that they committed while they were here, okay? And whoever opened their yap to her and said something that scared her, that the justice system was coming for her, whoever said that ought to get their fucking head slapped, because they should have never said anything to her about that. That should have been kept under wraps. They should have never told her that the Justice Department was coming after her because of the investigation into all the crap that Trump was into with Russia, okay? And her name came up. So now, here we are. She's over there, and now we can't get her. We can't get her to confess to anything that, you know, she was into. We can't, you know, we certainly can't get Butina to come and say anything on Biden's behalf or whatever, you know, to go or to bring down Trump. Can't get that. Okay, she's over there safely ensconced in the Russian borders here. You know, it's a family of corruption. You know, the Trump family, and that whole goddamn family really ought to be exported out of this country and sent to Russia. They can go live there for the rest of their goddamn life. That's, you know, basically what I'm thinking, is that, you know, if there's anybody that doesn't deserve to be living in this country, it's certainly the Trump family, the whole damn bunch of them. Okay, needs to get kicked out and thrown right back over there. If they love it, so if they love Putin so much, go over there and stay there, okay, and see how well you like it. And as far as the Trump supporters right now, you know, with them waving the American flag and, you know, calling themselves patriots, you make me sick. Every goddamn one of you. You make me fucking sick. You people are not patriots. Okay, standing up against your country is not a patriot. Okay, that's a goddamn traitor, and that's why we have traitors, why we put them on trial and we kick them out. Okay? If you're a fucking patriot, you wouldn't be doing the shit you're doing. You wouldn't be trying to tear down the government from the inside out, like you've been doing for, what, 2-3 decades now. Okay, I'm 51 years old, so I've seen a lot of shit that the Republican Party has systematically done over the decades to continually kick the legs out from under this country. And believe me, it's all there. The proof is all in the damn pudding. And for those of you that are young, like in your 20s, you ain't seen nothing. Okay, you haven't seen a goddamn thing to make you think that they're innocent, because you haven't lived through the last 30 years and saw how from Reagan to today there is a pattern, a consistent pattern of destroying this country along the way by that fucking party. Okay, you ain't seen it. That's why you don't understand why everybody's after you or calling you an asshole because you're a Republican, because you don't know. You got into this game late. Okay, but we've seen it. And if you're smart, you'll open up the history books, if you're not afraid to, and you'll start reading politics about what went on back in the 70s up to today. And you listen and read the fucking book and understand, you know, how this has played out. And this is why we have a political party that isn't really a political party anymore. It's a fucking terrorist group is what it is. It's a terrorist group. Any group that's associated with Russia at a time like this, while they're over there trying to destroy an entire country, genocide even, okay? They've committed all kinds of human violations over there in this war, put kids at risk, killed, you know, destroyed schools and hospitals, okay? These people have raped girls all over there, Russians, okay? You want to side with folks like that, okay? You really want to side with that. You really want to go walk on the wild side and hold up a Russian flag in the middle of this country while that shit's going on over there? You're going to be damn lucky if you don't get your ass shot, okay? Because right now, in this country, the Russian people don't look too damn good over here right now, okay? And I'll tell you, if people especially Republicans, you should not be so eager to open your yak, okay, about being a patriot and also walking around with a Russian flag hanging off your fucking truck, or a Trump flag even, which is just as bad, okay, as that other flag, okay? Because if you're a Trump supporter, if you're a Trumpy, okay, you are a traitor. You are a traitor. And I'll tell you, the more of these people that I see riding around with those fucking flags, the more energized I get, okay, to chase these people down and tell them to take that fucking flag off of their truck before somebody sets that on fire. Because that right there is ridiculous. Okay, that would be like me driving around in my truck with a swastika flying off the back of my pickup. Okay, that's exactly the same insultive thing that you would do right there as that. Okay, and I know some of you out there probably already done that, but for a country like this that knows or should know what right and wrong is, the wrong thing to do is to be sailing those flags around in this country, which is supposed to be a democracy, by the way, but everything Trump stands for and the Nazis stand for and the Russians stand for is anything but a democracy. They are totally anti-American in every aspect, and that makes you an anti-American, and therefore you are a traitor. Get that through your head. That's all I got to say for today.